see one of the other 50 underrated classic albums in Hip Hop History Volume 2. We'll resume with number 92. I had Freddie Foxx, entry Shakedown 2000, and SP Records. Freddie Foxx was an underrated great MC, worked his way up to being relevant on the independent label Food Chain Industry. Shakedown 2000 would be the shining moment of his solo career. That would be his best selling independent record of his career. The song that stood out from the album was Part of My Life. Let's see it. Now, I was looking through all the albums that I did not really briefly explain why they were underrated classic albums from the stuff that I read short videos that I did. I did one on Tragedy, Saga of a Hoodlum. That was number 71. Tragedy, Saga of a Hoodlum. This came out in 1993 on June 22nd. It was an underrated classic album because it brilliantly bridged street political awareness with gritty, clean street reality. Features elite early 90s boom bap production, showcasing the sharp lyrics of Percy Chapman. Better known as Tragic Gaddafi or Intelligent Hoodlum. Anyway, street politics, the rapper balanced a deep-rooted militant 5% nation woven with raw, unfiltered concept and seek survival. At least as a bridge between a socially conscious 1997 title debut and the rise of hardcore gangster rap era is the transitional era for Intelligent Hoodlum at the time. Better known as Tragic Gaddafi, the one you want to go by. But it captures a pivotal shift in East Coast hip hop. And the influential flow, his technical skill, complex internal rhymes, and vivid storytelling heavily influenced future Queens legends like Nas. Production sound, Marley Marl, K-Def, they definitely delivered the goods, delivering heavy stripped downs, jazz, soul, inflected boom bap. They got the cohesive atmosphere like the dark pianos, loops, hard-hitting drum breaks, raw audio, samples much the bleak yet gripping tone of the rhymes. Why was it overlooked and why it's so underrated? Because it's overlooked because the commercial shift. It peaked at number 57, the Billboard Top R&B Hip Hop Albums chart. It arrived as the West Coast G-Funk, early East Coast Cinematic, hardcore like the Chronic into the Wu-Tang, again dominating mainstream commercial attention. The name transition, releasing the project under the dual moniker Tragedy, Saga of the Hoodlum, caused confusion for casual listeners before he permanently adopted the Tragedy Gaddafi name. So that's why the album was underrated. The other album that I did was on O.C. Drews. This was an underrated classic album because elite lyricism, top tier underground production, and had poor commercial timing. Came out August 19, 1997. It showcased the Brooklyn rapper at the absolute peak of his craft. It had producers like DJ Premier, Buck Wild, Ball Finesse, Showbiz, Walt, with the Beat Miners. Really sound stripped down, soaked, boom bap loops that let the sharp bars breathe without commercial fluff, lyrical prowess, sharp writing, OC, displays type riff, control, complex rhyme schemes, zero wasted balls, braggadocio, even moves past that, into mature cinematic storytelling of deep urban introspection. The timing was very bad because it dropped in 1997. This was a period where an era was dominated commercially by massive pop rap and major label juggernauts caused the underground gyms to get lost in the shuffle. Lack of height, OC relied purely on raw skill instead of flashy hooks or media stunts, keeping a secret for the true hip hop heads only. Next, before people tune in, make sure you hit the like button. Then I did one on Organized Confusion, Stress, the Extension Agenda. That was number 73. Rewind, that was an underrated classic album. This album was a sophomore album that came out in 1994, the second album of the 91 release. Stress, the Extinction Agenda. Underrated because masterclass lyrical technicality, that dark jazz infused production, profound social commentary despite receiving critical acclaim amidst mainstream commercial success, keeping it an underground cult favorite. Lyrical mastery, technical skill, complex rhyme schemes, foul march, and Prince Poe utilized dense internal rhymes, multi-syllabic patterns, and rapidly shifting cases that raised the bar for rap craftsmanship. Seamless chemistry, both MCs traded bars with high energy precision, acting as a synchronized unit at the absolute peak of their abilities. You got the dark production, innovative dark production. You got the Joe Jazz Soul samples, the in-house production, contribution from the prisoners, producers like Buck Wild, merged heavy boom bap, drums with moody, dissonant jazz, horns and bass lines, serial atmosphere, instrumental choices on tracks like the title track, Stress, created dream intensity and paranoia, matching the anxious weight of the subject matter. Raw vulnerability and Thomas's commentary like Straight Bullet, stuff like that. That's why it's underrated. Then Brand Nubian came back together. I put that at number 74, Foundation, 1998. The reason why this album was underrated because it marked the triumph of 1998 reunion of the original lineup, Grand Puba, Sadat X, Large Mar, delivering mature lyricism still, production that got completely overshadowed by a historic blockbuster release date, which is September 29th, 1998. It was overcrowded. Foundation, thanks for hitting the like button. Foundation shared a release date with, albums that came out on that day. Outkast Aquemini, Black Star, Jay-Z's Volume 2, Hard Not Life, Tribe Called Quest, The Love Movement, lost in the shuffle because of these massive cultural juggernauts dropping at simultaneously. The media and general public largely overlooked Brand Nubian's cohesive studio return. And then you look at the original lineup again. DJ Alamo, I think DJ Alamo was back on the group. Obviously, Large Moore and Sadat X and Grand Puba. They proved that they didn't lose a step. They still did what they was doing. Songs like The Return, Shining Star, You For Me, that made it what it was. It's underrated. Got lost in the shuffle. Next, I got Organized Confusion's first album. Their self-titled album was underrated because of the great brown bacon multi-syllabic rhyme schemes, sharp social commentary, unique conceptual storytelling from Foul March and Prince Poe. 1991, October 29th, the album flew under the commercial radar due to minimal promotion, but laid the technical groundwork for 90s underground hip-hop. Lyrical innovation, complex flows, Foul March and Prince Poe used fast multi-syllabic patterns that were far ahead of standard early 90s rap styles. Who Stole My Last Piece of Chicken was a creative concept, turning everyday minor frustration to vivid, humorous narratives. Open Your Eyes, mix heavy gospel choir elements with serious sexual awakening. Self-produced sound. They handled most of the raw, eclectic production themselves, and blending jazz breaks, soul, alternative vibes. It overshadowed their darker 1984 masterwork, Stress, the Extension Agenda. The debut remains a cult favorite that helped define the golden era of abstract and backpack rap. Next, Big L, the Big Picture underrated classic album because it had elite lyrical mastery, legendary boom bap production, posthumous release context. Obviously, he was one of the great punchlines artists of all time. With his short punchlines, ebonics. This was released posthumously because he got killed at age 24. So it's still underrated. Still has a cult status with it as a masterpiece. Then Fat Joe's second album, Just One's Envy, is underrated because Masterclass 1985 East Coast boom bap production, the sharp lyrical growth from his debut, his historic first ever appearance of Big Pun on this album, DJ Premier, Diamond D, LES, a gritty slab of concrete New York City soundscape that fit the hardcore mid-90s underground scene, Bronx representation. He carried the Bronx torch during the building era when neighboring boroughs dominate the map. Watch Out, again, that's the debut of Big Pun. That's why it's underrated. Then Legal Drug Money, Lost Boys, debut album 1996. He blends gritty New York street life with bouncy club, friendly party anthems, 5 Billboard Hot 100 hits, Renee, Jeeps, Lexicals, Beamers, and Benz. Going Gold gets overshadowed by the mainstream conversation by other mid 90s East Coast releases. East Coast meets West Coast vibe. The South Jamaica Queens group makes hardcore rap raw delivery with smooth, melodic, accessible hooks that appeal to listeners on both coasts. The MC Mr. Cheeks delivered distinct, raspy urban flows, balanced perfectly by the gruff, high energy ad libs, hype style of the late Freaky Todd. The beats handled by producers like Pete Rock, Easy Mo Beat, gave the LP a heavy bass thumping foundation combined with a loose, fun party atmosphere. Renee was a storyteller, tragic track, means one of the most vivid, praised many moves in the 90s hip hop lyricism. Then you got the chart dominance on the release. At number six, peaked at number six on the Billboard 200 charts and topped the top one R&B hip hop albums chart, proving its massive, undeniable impact at the time before fading to sleeper underrated status among casual history books. Right, that's it for that. Next, I have Moni Love with number 79. An underrated classic album because it blended the positive Native Tongues era hip hop vibes with sharp pop appeal, smart feminist storytelling, diverse musical styles. Came out on October 30th, 1990. Peaked at 109 on the Billboard 200 chart, number 26 on the top R&B hip hop albums chart. Moni in the Middle. Songs like that stood out. It's a shame. Obviously, she was a pioneer. As a British-born MC, Moni brought a fresh, charismatic perspective to the American golden era of hip hop. Then you look at how it was underrated because it was overshadowed by her contemporaries like Tribe Quest, De La Soul was part of Native Tongue, captured the core underground focus, pushing her melodic style to the background. Dismissed as pop rap, it's a shame my sister achieved mainstream radio success, but peers sometimes overlook its deeper lyrical substance. And she received back-to-back Grammy nominations for Best Rap Soul performance for Money in the Middle, and it's a shame she lost out to MC Hammer and L. Cool J. All right, done with that. Special Ed Young is in Charge, his debut album in 1989. Produced by Howard T. He was 16 years old, coming out at that time. He was overshadowed by the contemporaries from the era. He rose on rhymes, had a calm, poised veteran, while still a teenager. He had that laid-back flow, conversational convos that made his complex delivery look easy. Howard T's beats, songs like I Got It Made, Think About It, I'm the Magnificent, definitely underrated. MC Shan's Down by Law, pioneering album. With the sampling of Marley Marl, not album pioneering, but the album was pioneered by the sampling of Marley Marl, sharp street storytelling, and this is in the middle of the Bridge Wars, rap feud with KRS-One, stuff like that. Street tales like Jane Stop This Crazy Thing, Kill That Noise, Overlooked Because of the Feud, stuff like that. Dane with Fame. Dane and Dane came out with this album in 1987. Vivid mastery with his narrative, humorous writing, and fair shadow cast by his close friend Pierre Slick Rick. It was number 46 on the Billboard 200 charts, achieving gold status. 9-track record produced by Herbie Lovebug. Means a snapshot of Brooklyn's 80s Brooklyn storytelling. Cinderfella, Dane and Dane, Delancey Street, Nightmares. The comparison between him and Slick Rick, the beats, everything made this underrated. People Without Shoes, definitely an underrated group. Underground hip hop group. Underrated. With the dose of optimists. It was dubbed as hip hop's best kept secret. The group stayed underground rather than chasing mainstream radio hits. They had that raw aesthetic, gritty sample choices, clever underground rhyme schemes, stuff like that. Pete Rock's Soul Survivor came out in 1998 on Loud Records, November 10th. Masterclass production, lead guest list, pivotal CL Smooth reunion. Typical Pete Rock stuff he was doing, songs like Truth Master, Take Your Time. He had Method Man, Raekwon, Inspector Deck, Ghostface Killer, Big Pun, Common and Prodigy. Unique cross crew appearance that push MCs outside their normal comfort zones of production umbrellas. It was overshadowed by the release that was coming out in 1998. So definitely underrated. Common Common Sense, when he was Common Sense, called Resurrection, the album in 1994. Underrated because the masterclass jazz rap production by No ID, relative, uh, reflective lyricism that got overshadowed commercial by massive East and West Coast releases. It's a classic because of lyrical growth of Common, thoughtful rhymes about black identity, everyday struggles, and entering manhood. No ID's production is boom bap instrumentals that was jazz inflected, iconic storytelling, the conceptual. I used to love her. Metaphor for one trace the commercial changes in the history of hip hop. Underrated because obviously Biggie and Nas had the albums drop during that time. It only peaked at number 179 of charts. And also you had a Chicago-based artist for the Midwest hip hop scene fully blew up. Obviously had Bone Thugs and Harmony coming from Cleveland, but didn't have the immediate regional commercial machine backing them that New York or Los Angeles acts enjoyed. Channel Live, station identification. That song Mad Ism, that was a big hit. It became overshadowed by a crowded story era of hip hop releases in the East Coast. Karis One made a contribution for its production along with Stallone Remy, Reggie Burrell. Not lost in the shuffle, man, because so much was coming out at that time in 1995. Stuff like that. Mad Evans was huge, but instead it was definitely an underrated album. The Lynch Mob, Villains in the Mist. This is a group that aggressive production by Ice Cube, JD, Shorty, T-Bone, raw production by Ice Cube and Chili Chill for this album. And focused on, make sure it's on teachings, black community struggles, racism, systemic poverty. It was overshadowed by the G-Funk, obviously, released just as the smoother, synth-heavy G-Funk era took over West Coast rap. Legal lineup issues, the incarceration of JD, soon after release, hard to boost momentum. X-Clan, Exodus, their second album, is underrated because it upgraded their first LP's Afrocentric vision with heavier P-Funk lace beats, stronger militant urgency, and the oration commanding of Professor X's commanding oration arrived just as hip hop shifted commercially, landscape-wise, overshadowing conscious rap. So the richer production was richer with the booming horn arrangements, funkadelic vibes, soundscapes. Brother J with his esoteric rhymes patterns with unique vocal tone. Red, Black, and the Green still was doing their thing, still expanding. But at the time, I mean, it's overlooked, underrated because it came out in May 1992. The record mirrored the world ink of the Rodney King verdict, ritual fiction, urban decay. It was overshadowed because as gangster rap and G-Funk began to dominate radio play, mainstream taste, uncompromising political hip-hop struggled for commercial airplay, despite reaching number 11 on the R&B hip-hop chart. It was overshadowed by his debut to the East Blackwards. This polished sophomore continuation was unfairly pushed to the sidelines of 90s rap history. Okay, so we got finally Black on Both Sides, Most Def. His debut album as a solo artist, underrated because of its brilliant lyricism, loud inspiration, deep cultural impact. Came out in 1999 on October 12th by Ruckus Records. Very brilliant musically, lyrically, combining hip hop beats, instruments like loud bass, drums, and keyboards, systemic racism. He tackled that real world issues like identity, stuff like that. Times like Miss Fat Booty, Mathematics, and Oma Says. Went gold, the album. Lasting influence showed future artists that rap music can selfly mix singing, live instrumentation, deep storytelling. And that's it, man. That's it. With, I look at all the albums that I did not explain in detail why they were underrated, even in detail. So I want to do that with this live feed about Bumpy Knuckles Industry Shakedown 2000. Let's get into that, matter of fact. underrated because it had a raw, uncompromising attack on a commercial rap machine, backed by elite production, gritty lyricism, 5 years of label's frustration. So, industry critique, that Whoopi Knuckles persona directly called out major labels like Def Jam, Tommy Boy, Electra, man, for diluting hip hop culture. Or was commercial artists dealing with that. They got shelved. Flex they get being shelved and backballed by the industry. So yeah, that warrior like intensity. Juices by like DJ Pete, Mail, Pete Ron, Diamond D, and the Alchemist, stuff like that. So it's hidden gem. Alright, so that's it, man. Come back tomorrow with another one. Bible study, dynamic duos, all that sort of stuff. So it's coming soon. So till then, a lot more continuation of this. The other 50 underrated classic albums. I got a lot more coming. A lot more coming. I'm gonna finish this book tomorrow and do some other material from my books that I publish. So till then, talk to you tomorrow.